Hello, hello, hello. And that is Kelly Price. Keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. You know, I love that song so much because it reminds me that I cannot stay in one place and not progress. Either I'm going to go backwards or I'm going to go forwards. So I choose to move on. I have a wonderful, wonderful treat today in the studio, and I'm so excited I don't even know what to do. I'm staring at his face. I'm looking at his smile. I know he's here. And I'm going, wow, how did I get so blessed and fortunate to have Les Brown behind the mic with me? I mean, not only are you Les Brown, speaker extraordinaire, but radio was your first love.
Absolutely. That's why I have on my headphones. Absolutely. That's why I have on my headphones, because it reminds me of that, and I love it.
I love it too. Radio was my first love. I started in radio at 16 years old. So we're going to have a wonderful conversation. I want you guys to get your notebooks and your pens. Be proactive in this content. Do not just sit there and let it roll over your head, roll past you. It is your responsibility to be in it and figure out who you need to be to do it today. We'll be right back with Les Brown.
Hey, are you tired of those same old energy drinks with bad taste? Make a switch to Pitbull Energy Drink with a guaranteed no aftertaste. Pitbull offers more energy with ginseng and vitamins B6 and B12. With a ginger ale lemon lime flavor, Pitbull meets the consumer's demand for better tasting and healthier energy products with a guaranteed no aftertaste. Make a switch to Pitbull Energy Drink. Pitbull offers more energy with ginseng and vitamins B6 and B12. With a ginger ale lemon lime flavor, Pitbull meets the consumer's demand for better tasting and healthier energy products. For more information on Pitbull energy drinks, bars, and mixes, visit their website at hiphopbev.com. That's hiphopbev.com. Online orders available at hiphopbev.com.
Okay, we're back, but before we get into this beautiful content, you know, it's important to me to set the energy right in his face, and that's why my beautiful Lisa Hightower is here, and she's going to remind us to breathe, and then we'll get right back into it. What I've learned is that, you know what I learned about myself?
What's that?
I learned that I have to be an atmosphere changer. That I have a responsibility when I walk in the room to do something. Okay, don't get upset, y'all. This is not sacrilegious. I have to cultivate the inner freak. You know what that means?
Tell me about that.
I got to change my own frequency before I can expect anyone to understand.
And you call, what is that? You
Cultivating the inner freak.
Okay.
Or tweak the freak.
Yes, can you get me on this?
Tweak the freak.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean,
Okay.
that's about frequency, FREQ. And I know some of our people are going, oh man, I thought she was going somewhere else. No, not really, but really. When you sort of you level your frequency, your vibration, then you sort of become contagious.
Okay.
You become contagious. He's laughing at me.
This is a family show, right?
This is a family show, and believe me, I'm keeping it. Tina Michelle is, you know, hope, transformation, but the truth, the real. So Lisa's going to come in, and she's going to help us to set the atmosphere, and then we're going to get right into our interview. Does that sound good?
Yes.
I'm now considering changing my song. Should I do Freak Out?
No. You're not allowed.
Oh, everybody in studio and outside that are listening, take a deep breath with me and let's just go into this song. Wrote this song several years ago. It's called Breathe Into It. Rather than fighting, rather than resisting, rather than trying to figure out how I'm going to make it happen, just breathe into it. Are you ready?
Yes.
Breathe in to it. That's what the gurus tell me. Finding it hard to live, but just as hard to leave. My life should be better. That's what we often say. But this is not the way it's supposed to be. When you don't know what to do, and you're finding it hard to get through, yeah. Just simply take a breath and breathe into
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love that song. I love the fact that she's here. Just a quick little mention about Miss Lisa. She is a coaching client that I never met. I was talking to you for a while, for years, right?
Yeah.
Developing your brand, getting your vision clarified so that you can be all that God created to be, right? Not
Absolutely.
just be a human doing, but be a human being. And then I'm looking at her post on Facebook one day, and she said, I'm in Los Angeles. I'm like, you can't be in Los Angeles. I'm in Los Angeles. I said, come see me right now. And she comes to the studio, and I go, okay, I love you. You're beautiful. Hit the mic. Because your gift will make room for you.
Absolutely.
And so sometimes she blesses us with that. And I know that that's her specific tone, her vibration in the universe. So for some of you, that sounds really serendipitous and very lofty, but we all have a high note.
Mm-hmm.
And that high note is what calls to us, what is purpose just for us. So is that a good segue into talking about some of the things we're going to touch today?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. So I'm here with who I fondly call Uncle Les, I've known for years. And it was his story, you got to be hungry, that woke me up one day and made me realize that I don't have to marginalize my own gift, that I can actually vision way beyond my own imagination, and that's actually where God's imagination will pick up. And it's okay. I have the permission to be. And it was because I heard that my 22-year-old son was drinking a sippy cup when I was listening to that message in a cassette. That tell you something on a cassette.
Yes.
And it changed my game. It changed my psychology, and it also changed what I was willing to accept in that moment. I could no longer go back to that moment, which was amazing. But that moment now became intolerable and mediocre because I saw something different.
That's a wonderful thing. You know, Oliver Wendell Holmes said, once a man or woman's mind has been expanded with an idea, concept, or experience, it can never be satisfied to going back to where it was. So that moment created an experience for you that caused us to now be together, sitting across from each other and doing this work that we are both committed to, and that is helping people to get an expanded vision of themselves and take their lives to another level that they perhaps have not even imagined.
What makes you qualified to have this conversation?
I think my experience of being born in an abandoned building in Liberty City in Miami, Florida, and with a twin brother, and being adopted, being labeled educable, mentally retarded, and I have used my own life experiences because I had a teacher who told me someone's opinion of me does not have to become my reality, and that really moved me to want to touch and impact people's lives, but I had no idea that it would become my profession, it would become my career. For over 40 years I've been doing this. I tell you, I got up early this morning to start covering this gray. Hope you don't play that.
Covering his grave. Give me a
tell
break.
you, I use mascara in a heartbeat. Sometimes they grow overnight. I got my two gray eyelashes, but I'm not going to go that far now. I'm not going to become a diva.
They're distinctors. There's nothing wrong with a little gray. Okay, so I want to go.
Yes,
I want to go
my
into
kids
that.
say, Dad, you know, your gray make you look distinguished. I said, at 68, I'm not trying to look distinguished. I'm trying to look young.
Well,
Yes.
I think you look great. And
Thank
I
you.
think I've watched you through the process, right?
Yes,
through the
you
years.
have.
I've seen you tear up a stage. I've seen you facilitate a workshop. I've seen you with your roster of speakers that you have trained.
Yes.
Right over there in George Frazier's house at FrazierNet, right?
Yes, right.
And so I've seen that, your whole speakers showcase and everything, and I see how you're connected and committed to helping the next generation shift frequencies.
Yes, because in our community, if you have a desire to help people, the first thing they say is you ought to become a minister. And there's nothing wrong with that. But there are other areas where we can express ourselves, where we can make an impact.
Yeah.
This area where I am right now is a $58 billion industry. There are people now working on jobs that they really should have another plan for themselves. And what I mean by this, there are people who are working on jobs where they literally can be fired for anything
At any
or
moment.
nothing. At any moment. They don't have to do anything. And they can lose their job. Or they hear that statement that I heard, we're going in another direction. I say, can I go? No, you going to the parking lot.
With your little
Yes,
cardboard
that's right.
box, right?
Right. So what I'm doing now is teaching people how to make money with your story. Because that's literally what I do. When I start off, just like I just did, I went into my story and showing people how to pivot from there to create value for organizations, for corporations, to sell their brand, to sell their products, to build an organization. This is a new economy, and we've got to constantly look for ways to stay ahead of technology and cheap labor abroad. Technology is more advanced now than ever before. The jobs that are being eliminated because of technology, those jobs are not going to come back. And so what people have to do is constantly, you have to run just to stand still. You've got to be involved in reinventing yourself, dying to who you are now to give birth to who you can become.
Yeah. And a lot of that I think has to do with letting go of the baggage and, the baggage and the boohoos, I call it, the things of the past that sort of we drag into this space. And some of it is a great soundbite to write your story with. But that victim speak is really the thing that stops a lot of people from believing that they can move forward.
Yes, victim speak and just a limited vision of yourself. I did not think it took Mike Williams from Coshocton, Ohio, in Columbus, Ohio, 14 years, I'm embarrassed to say, to convince me that I can do what I'm doing now. And the reason was I didn't believe not having a college education, not ever working for a major corporation, not ever doing training on customer service or how to present yourself or how to develop your leadership potential or how to move and galvanize an organization to increase their profits. I did not know I had the capacity to do that. And I'll never forget one time we were going back and forth and all of a sudden the phone went dead. And so I called him back. I said, we lost the signal. He said, we didn't lose the signal. I said, what happened? He said, I hung up. I said, why would you do that? He said, if you argue for your limitations, you get to keep them. I said, whoa.
Oh, wait. I
Yes.
need to write that down in my brain. If you argue for your limitations, you get to keep them.
Yes.
Dial tone.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yes. And so I said, talk to me, Mike. He said, you better hope I win this conversation because he was arguing for my possibilities. I was arguing for my limitations. I told him, I've never done that before. He said, all of us are born the same way, dumb, naked, and speechless. You can learn. Are you willing to learn? And I said, yes.
Wow.
And see, everything didn't just change that moment you said yes, right? The sky didn't open, like you didn't hear the voice of Jesus. You didn't have a Jesus of Nazareth soundtrack.
No.
The gators didn't come
None of
out the
that.
water because
No.
you were in Florida.
Right.
But it was a decision.
It was a decision. My mother was suffering from breast cancer. I was a state legislator in Columbus, Ohio. I'm adopted. I resigned from the Ohio legislature, went back to Miami to take care of my mother. I promised her, because Mom adopted 7 of us, and I always felt like God took me out of my biological mother's womb and placed me in the heart of my adopted mother. I promised her that when I become a man, and she said I would be a man at 18. I said, what happens then? She said, then you'll start paying all the bills. I said, well, when I turn 18, I'll set you down. You will never pay another bill. My mother believed, she said, Leslie, if you have a wife and she has a husband and a job too, one of them's got to go. She said a man's job is to take care of the woman, to pay the bills. If she wants to work, she should work if she desires. And the money she earns, she should use it to pamper herself. She said, but you as a man, your job is to take care of your family and to pay the bills. And so that's was my orientation to this particular day. And what I did was I found a way to use my story. And one of the things I'm doing now is called Make Money with Your Story. That you can, when you look at today where people need to be encouraged, they need to be motivated, People are losing their jobs. People have gone through bankruptcy and have gone through a lot of hardships. The suicide rate has increased 300% between the ages of 15 and 35. And so what people need are hope and methods on how to begin to reinvent themselves, and collaborative, achievement-driven relationships, achievement-driven, supportive relationships that can help them go to the next level.
Okay, so I like to shift gears a little bit, right?
Yes.
Okay, you said some things that are very interesting. You started with, I didn't believe in myself because I didn't have a college education.
Right.
I didn't believe in myself because I was labeled or classified in specific education level.
Educable, mentally retarded.
Okay,
Yes.
so, and you were born on the floor.
In an abandoned building in Liberty City, 62nd Street, Northwest 17th Avenue.
And do you know that less than 10 minutes after that, you said, while I was working for Ohio in state legislation. Okay, let's talk about that right there.
I've done a variety of things. I've been a disc jockey. I've been a community activist. I was elected to the Ohio legislature after I was fired from radio. I did an editorial on police brutality in Columbus, Ohio. It was a very celebrated issue called the Kahiki incident. It was a restaurant where a Vietnam veteran and his wife, they had a dispute about a bill, and the mother was holding a baby, and the cops were called, and one of the young cops came in and hit the lady in the head with a nightstick. And so she dropped the baby. Fortunately, her husband caught the baby, but she just became enraged, and she was able to overpower those two cops. They called for backup. Yeah. And I'll never forget this. They call this, if you talk to anybody from Columbus, Ohio, you say Les Brown, they'll tell you about that incident called the Kahiki incident. And so
what were you doing when you first heard that story? You were on the radio?
Well, I was on the radio, and, and a guy named Tom Caton called me, a white guy who witnessed it. And I called for a demonstration against police brutality. And a demonstration of over 15,000 people came downtown in downtown Columbus, Ohio. It was very militant during that time. And
did you have an afro and a power fist?
Yes, indeed. You had all that dashiki and big afro. And so a riot broke out. And so the city attorney said that they're going to arrest me unless I paid for the damages downtown. And I called a news conference, and I said, you come arrest me, but also arrest Woody Hayes of Ohio State University. Because the policemen in Columbus, what they did was, when Ohio State beat Michigan, they allowed those students to riot, and they protected them while they tore up downtown. So I said, I'll write a check when Woody Hayes write a check. And so that stopped that conversation.
Wow.
But that didn't stop them from firing me. They just fired me.
They did fire you.
They did fire me. So I ran a year later for state representative. I had a saying when I was on the air, stand up for what you believe in, because you can fall for anything. And I knocked on doors along with my two kids and said, tell everybody Les Brown is still standing. And I ran for the Ohio legislature, 29th House District. And then in that kind of election, you usually get around 3,000 votes. I got 26,000 votes. And guess how I won?
How?
I had around $600. My opponent had over $40,000. He was a 22-year white incumbent in a 65% white district. And the Friday before the election, I went to the studio. They had all of the community activists, all of the black community activists, supported him. They said, Les, you've lost your power. You don't have the microphone anymore. And I went to the radio station, and a guy named Perkins, who encouraged me to run, he passed. He said, Brown, you're a very creative guy. He said, go in the studio and sit there and do what you've always done. And just that moment will come when you get an idea. And sure enough, I said, okay. I said, I know what I want to do. I said, can I use your phone? He said, yes. I called my mother. I said, Mom, I want you to say something about me. She said, what? I said, I'm running for state representative. She said, boy, what is that foolishness? I said, Mama, don't worry about it. If you say something good for me, I'll give you $200. She said, boy, you better give me my money. And so I said, let's go. And so I played a song by Aretha Franklin called Come Together People, Holy, Holy, Holy. And she said, "Hello, this is Mrs. Mamie Brown. When I raised my boys, I raised them to be good boys. And when they got out of hand, I beat their behinds. Please vote for my son. He's a good boy."
She said something good
Yes,
about you,
that's
though.
right. That was Mamie Brown. So everybody went around and said, Les Brown's mama said he's a good boy. And I won that election hands down.
That's amazing to me. And see, I hope that when people are listening, if you're listening right now, that you're writing down certain threads here. Born poor to a mother that gave you up for adoption, right? Then was labeled in school, classified a certain way, did not have a college education, right?
Still don't.
And you decided one day to be on the radio, right? How did that sort of transpire?
I went to the radio station and I volunteered. And a guy named Rockin' Roger got drunk one day, and I was at the radio station, and he was drinking, and I knew he was getting drunk because every time he got drunk, he would start talking about fried chicken. Everybody knew that. And so I was there walking back and forth looking at him saying, "Drink, Rock, drink."
I think I got me a new job.
That's right. And so pretty soon the general manager called the station and said, "Rock can't finish his program." I said, "I know." He said, "Would you call one of the other DJs?" I said, "Yes, sir." I hung up. I called my mama and a girl named Cassandra, which was my girlfriend. I said, "Cassandra, tell my mama and everybody in the neighborhood, come out on the front porch and turn up the radio. I'm about to come on the air." And so during that time, people would go on the front porch and listen to the radio. And a guy, when he finally got so drunk he could not finish his show, Mr. Klein called back and said, "Les Brown, would you go on the air?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Don't say anything." I said, "Oh, I won't say anything at all." I got Rocket Roger out, walked him out, and laid him down on the couch in the general manager's office. I came back in, and I came on the air. I said, "Look out, this is me, LB Triple P, Les Brown, your platter playing papa. There were none before me, and there will be none after me. Therefore, that makes me the one and only. Young and single and love to mingle, certified, bona fide, and indubitably qualified to bring you satisfaction and a whole lot of action. Look out, baby, I'm your love man." That was
Hired.
That was what I was doing. And the great Montague, who came out here, was at WMBM. Bob Terry, who was called Nighthawk, he came from Miami to Washington D.C. They called him the Nighthawk there. And Milton Butterball Smith was the program director. There was a lot of talent that came there, and I had a chance to learn from the great Montague and Nighthawk Bob Terry and Milton Butterball Smith and Jocko out of Philadelphia. I mean, I've worked with all these veterans, and in this new life, I've worked with Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, who wrote the book The Power of Positive Thinking, Jim Rohn, and all of these veterans in this new life that I've invented. And now my goal is to train others how you can take just a simple story, just like that. This story, what I just told you, has earned me over $64 million.
And you said $64?
64 million with an M. I
Oh,
get
wow.
$25,000 an hour when I speak domestically in the United States, and when I speak internationally, I charge $125,000.
Not bad from being born on the floor of a basement. Not
It's
bad at all.
No,
Not
yeah,
bad at all.
Yeah.
So
and so now I'm training others how to do it. I have a
That's what's
website
critical.
called Make Money With Your Story, and I'm teaching you, just like with you. You have lived an incredible life. All of the experience that you've had. If I had told you a story, I can show you. In fact, I'm going to Orlando today, and I've got 4 days that I'm going to be working with people who are coming from everywhere, many of them ministers and entrepreneurs, and just teaching them how to tell the story of, say, let's say, for instance, I was with you, and I left you to talk about your story. I was with a friend of mine today, and Tina Michelle, and one of the things that she believes that if you want something out of life is several things that's very important. Number one, that you've got to make a total commitment. She used to be an artist, and she did that for a while, but then she decided to expand in other areas. She decided that she wanted to work with people because she realized not only must you make a total commitment to achieve your goals, but you must invest in yourself, that you don't get in life what you want, you get in life what you are, and that you must never give up. You're going to get some challenges. Think it not strange that you have faced the fiery furnaces of this world. And you need accountability partners, that as you look at yourself, that you have a 41% greater chance of reaching your goal if you have someone to partner with you than to try and do it by yourself. So I could use your name as an acronym and do a half hour of hour speech or a half hour speech and show you how to create value for corporations because you have an energy signature and earn $5, $10, $15, $25,000 an hour by motivating and encouraging a sales force.
Oh, I did that yesterday. It's all right.
I know.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back here with Les Brown.
And best-selling author Les Brown rose from humble beginnings to become a leading broadcast and platform personality, recipient of an Emmy, and dubbed one of the world's top 5 speakers by Toastmasters International. His captivating delivery, incorporating humor, insights, and proven techniques, teaches, inspires, and challenges his viewers to ultimate levels of achievement.
I know something about you, even not knowing you, that you've got greatness within you. You have the ability to do things that you can't even begin to imagine. You have talents and skills in you that you haven't even begun to reach for yet.
The ideal situation for a man or woman to die is to have family members praying with them as they cross over. He said, but imagine, if you will, being on your deathbed and standing around your bed, the ghost of the ideas, the dreams, the abilities, the talents given to you by life, and that you, for whatever reason, you never acted on those ideas, you never pursued that dream, you never used those talents, we never saw your leadership, you never used your voice, you never wrote that book, and there they are standing around your bed looking at you with large angry eyes saying, we came to you, and only you could have given us life, and now we must die with you forever. The question is, if you died today, what ideas, what dreams, what abilities, what talents, what gifts will die with you? Maybe that's why Jim Rohn said, when the end comes for you, let it find you conquering a new mountain, not sliding down an old one. Maybe that's why Henry David Thoreau said, oh God, to reach the point of death only to realize that you've never lived, only to realize that you've never scraped the surface of your potential. If you want to make your dream become reality, the people that are running at their dreams know that it's possible that you can live your dream, that it's necessary, that you're relentless, that you have a plan of action, that you are creative. See, there are 2 types of relationships. There are nourishing relationships and toxic relationships. Nourishing relationships, they nourish you. They bring the best out of you. They challenge you. They hold you accountable. They keep you focused. They bring the best out of you. Toxic relationships, they drain you. There are some people that you will never be able to get into business with. Why? Because they know too much about you. And they can't forget that. They can't shake that. You've got to look at your relationships, and Jim Rohn said this, look at the people in your life and ask this question, what is this relationship doing to me? What is it doing to me? Am I growing spiritually, mentally, financially?
Intellectually, what is it doing to me? If you're a young person, does it put you on the honor roll or get you on the detention list? What is it doing to you? There's a new term in psychiatry called relational illness. There's some people that can make you sick. Well, can I change them? No. It's a full-time job changing yourself. And there's some people that are so negative they can walk into a dark room and begin to develop. The people that are running after their dream know they're going to have hard times. They keep on running because they're saying within themselves, I'm the one, I'm the one. No matter how bad it is or how bad it gets, I'm going to make it. The people that are running after their dreams are the people that are hungry. Most people never achieve their goals because they don't know that they don't know and they think they know. Most people are just like Zig, who's I consider the #1 motivational speaker on the planet. He said that most people like the lumberjack whose wood production dropped by 40% because he wouldn't take the time to sharpen his axe. Those of you that are here for the first time, if you want to come back again, I can tell you the veterans who are here and been coming for 40 years or more, those are individuals who spend time working on themselves, developing themselves, expanding their minds. They know, as a man thinketh, so is he. They know in order to have the things tomorrow that others won't have, you've got to be willing to do the things today others won't do, like work on your mind. And with that kind of courage, with that kind of affirmation and reason to empower me, I got a saying that when life knocks you down, try and land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. All right? The people that are living their dream are finding winners to attach themselves to. The people that are living their dreams are the people that know that if it's going to happen, it's up to them. And they're resolving within themselves, it's not over until I win.
When he talked about having personal growth before you can attain professional achievement, and when he said better selling begins with a better you, that put the focus on the kinds of things that I can do myself in taking charge of my life. And when I do that, everything else falls in place.
Les has the ability to inspire people to pursue their passion, to live their dreams. And whether they're in sales or personnel, or whether they're just a machine operator, it's very, very important that you have some passion for what you're doing. And Les inspires people to have that passion.
You know, I thought I had some sound bites. Boy, oh boy, you are a wordsmith and master crafter. I'm sitting there going, I gotta write, oh, no pen. Oh, I gotta, no pen. I love words. I love every type of word. I love languages. I'm very fascinated because I believe that, you know, actually my mother trained me this. It trained this in my body. So it's not something I can just ignore, that your language locates you. So she would say, from the language that I speak, it's going to determine my altitude or my destination.
And your access to things.
My access to things.
Yes.
So I didn't believe that. I thought she was just torturing me when she made me do debutante. I thought she was torturing me when she made me do Latin for 5 years. I was like, what is wrong with this woman? She hates my guts or something. Everyone is outside playing.
Yes.
And I'm sitting there playing Bach. I live in the projects. Who listens to Bach?
Right.
But as I got older, and not that much older, because I think I did cotillion deb at 13 years old, and it wasn't the traditional cotillion, it was international business acumen. So I learned how to do Japanese tea ceremonies. I learned how Chinese people do business. I learned how the French do business. I learned Arabic addressing and how to deal with certain people in certain areas and when to speak and when not to speak. I learned that at 13 years old. And then I went on to become part of a sports team that was more internationally minded, which was a fencing team. My mother had an agenda.
Yes.
From a very young age, that I was raised in the projects. So when she would say to me, my language will locate me, it was because I was trying to speak slang, and I said, Ma, she don't be, You do not have the right to mutilate the English language until you have mastered it.
Right.
Then you can say whatever you want. And how will I know you mastered it? Because you will vibrate a frequency out there that will come back to you that is indicative of mastery.
It makes all the difference in the world.
It makes
and
a
our kids
difference.
don't realize that we have some of the most vulgar people on the planet, and we don't realize in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. You listen to a people language, and that'll tell you a lot about their consciousness. When I'm working with young kids, I teach them that profanity is the strongest expression of a weak mind. And that one of the things you see many of our kids today, they have absolutely no respect for anyone. They'll say anything. There are no consequences for cursing in school and around teachers. When I was in school, you couldn't do that. And I've seen people curse in front of their parents because there's no line. There's nothing that's indecent. There's no such thing as disrespect. There's no level that people will not go anymore in terms of showing respect. And so what we have to do is go back to what your mother was teaching, because what she was saying, you're molding today what you will be in the future. I'm going to teach you how to handle yourself, because your ability to communicate, it humanizes you. That's how people determine your humanity, how you communicate. My high school teacher said, Mr. Brown, develop your communication skills, because once you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are.
Well, you know what it did for me, and I didn't realize until later, right? And it's, when I look at this generation, I don't see necessarily a generation of lost children. I see checked out parents. As a life coach, do you know I would have no job if parents knew how to parent?
Right.
I would have no job.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Right.
I think about some of the things that I work with, and I'm not, how people express themselves and communicate, whether we consider it this way or that way, I think is indicative of the culture that they represent, neither right nor wrong. But I do believe that there's a leadership representation that must be there in order for us to guide people into what they want. Now, if you want this and you communicate at that level, that's what you're going to have. It's okay. You don't want anything more. But I saw myself in Paris when I was a little girl. I saw things I never knew why I was seeing it.
Because your mother was cultivating that vision in you.
And she was reading stories to me when I was a child that took me in my mind outside of the projects into someplace else, even though my friend Lawrence is sitting here and he would laugh and say there's no projects in Tarrytown. But it was sort of kind of like the projects. It really was. Yeah. Even though we had a bocce board court and a tennis court, it was Section 8 housing. But, I want to jump back into something we were discussing before, because the same language that we could talk about, I don't really just see the vulgarity of what they consider curse words or profanity, because I don't believe that profanity is curse words. I think this is a curse word. I will never be able to achieve anything in my life.
Yes. Here's what one of the things I'm doing with people that is serious about changing their lives and increasing their income. I offer them an opportunity, a challenge. These people that I'll be working with this weekend. Discipline yourself.
I want to go in your luggage.
Yes, to make a minimum of 85% of your conversation positive, productive, and profitable. If you did that, positive, productive is leading someplace. There's some benefit. And profitable. If we discipline ourselves to do that. My daughter did a training, a visioning process with some young people and adults in Atlanta this past week.
You talking about Ona?
Yes.
I love me some Ona Brown.
Yes, right. and so most of them didn't show up. And the reason they didn't show up, they wanted to sit home and watch the Falcons play. And after they lost, because they thought they were going to go to the Super Bowl, they called and say, if I know they're going to lose, I would be there. But let me tell you what, though. That says a lot about them, because they were at home watching somebody else live their dreams.
Being spectators.
Yes.
See, here's the generosity of our conversation. This generosity of the conversation is inclusive to all who will. Right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go back. Let's track back a little bit in what we were discussing before and continue this thread. You were born on the basement floor. You were adopted. No college, no traditional college, university education. Fast forward. Radio brand. Because you decided you could.
Someone encouraged me. I heard a disc jockey that I was impressed with. They call him Wild Man Steve and Milton Butterball Smith and the Great Montague and Bob Terry. And I wanted to be like them. During the time that I came into radio, you used to rap. These young people think they started rap. They didn't start rap. This is in 1953, 55, you know, that jocks talk trash on the radio. And so I wanted to be that guy that talked trash. I mean, there are people in Columbus, Ohio, they have Blue Monday when I was a disc jockey in Columbus, Ohio. To this day, on Reel to Reel, hello, this is Les Brown, baby. I'm in the room thinking about you right now. And I have a voice come on, hi, my name is Mary, and I go on all day, I'll go around all day with nothing on but Les Brown. And then I come back. I come back on. Listen, the rain beating up against the window pane, about to drive me insane as I'm thinking about you. All this kind of stuff. And the guy named Sid McCoy out of Chicago, who had the greatest voice in the history of radio, I think. All of these things fed my fantasy of wanting to talk to people.
But there had to be a moment. There had to be a moment where you landed in your body and said, me too. When was that?
When I saw Bob Proctor at an event with Dr. Norman Vincent Peale and Zig Ziglar in Dade County Auditorium. I had resigned from the Ohio legislature, went back to Miami to take care of my mother. And I was in this sea of people, around 5,000 people. I was the only African-American there. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks, that if white people needed someone like Dr. Norman Vincent Peale to teach them to think positive, Wayne Dyer, pull your own strings, Zig Ziglar, see you at the top, Robert Schuller, possibility thinking. And they've never been enslaved. They've never had anybody call them the N-word. What more do we need? And as I saw Bob Proctor and Zig Ziglar go across that stage, I said to myself, I could do that.
But it started even before that. There was a moment from the high school, whenever they labeled you a certain way, there had to be a glimmer that said, I will do more than what you say.
When I saw, one day I saw a friend of mine named MacArthur Stevens go in a classroom, and I followed him. Unbeknownst to me, that was going to be a determining point in my life. He went in a room of Mr. Leroy Washington. I'll speak to him today. He's blind now in his 90s. And he said, young man, go to the board and work this problem out for me. And I said, oh, sir, I can't do that. And he said, why not? I said, I'm not one of your students. He said, go to the board and work it out anyhow. And I said, I can't, sir. And the other students started laughing, saying, he's DT. He's got a twin brother's smart, but he's DT. And he said, what's DT? And they said, he's the dumb twin. And they erupted in laughter. And I came up close to him and I said, I am, sir. And he pointed at me. He said, don't you ever say that again. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality.
Wow.
And that was a turning point in my life.
How
On one
old were
hand,
you?
at that time, I was a junior. I was in special education at Booker T. Washington High School in Overtown in Miami. I was a junior in high school. That's when I met him.
And that was the game-changing conversation.
That was a game-changing conversation.
See, there's a lot of us who have had that game-changing conversation, and sometimes our frequencies are tuned so low we can't even hear our internal conversation. Everything is sort of building up inside of us, and we're saying, that's not true. That's not true. And it may take you, it may take me, it may take just one person on the corner, someone's grandmother, something you see on television, to actually add that little bit of sauce to it, to make you go,
absolutely.
Today is that day.
Yes.
So when I'm talking to our audience, you know, the Tina Speaks audience is a special audience because they're oriented with coaching. Right? So I'm always thinking about what can they do today? What can they do today to have that game-changing conversation? We can have a conversation about registering into a class so they can be everything they can be. But right now, there's a decision to be made around permission. Because if you invest $30,000, $40,000, $100,000, does not mean that that investment is going to yield an ROI.
Right.
But if you invest with the belief that this is mine, this is my time, and no one can do me like me. That's not an arrogant statement.
That's right.
That's branding. That's true branding. I can never do Les Brown the way Les Brown does Les Brown. And no one can do Tina Michelle the way Tina Michelle does Tina
with your
Michelle.
voice. I'm glad you mentioned that. I sent you a video that I'm going to give away to people that are listening. If they go to Make Money With Your Story, I'm going to send them the 7 secrets of how to tell your story. And I'm going to send them the video called You've Got to Be Hungry, where I'm speaking to 80,000 people.
That was my game changer.
In the Georgia Dome, yes. And I'm going to do a free seminar because I believe we need more positive voices. All they have to do is go to makemoneywithyourstory.com. Makemoneywithyourstory.com, and they'll get those things absolutely free.
And they need to get over there right now, but they need to go over there with a commitment. Because I have some friends who have stacked up personal development content. I mean, might as well be furniture. It might as well be art.
Yes.
They're not going to do anything with it. So now this is a commitment that whatever you have done and whatever you have learned, it's time for you to decide what is going to be the difference today. I'm listening to you. I'm listening to your stories, not much different than mine. I was raised in the project. My mother was a single mother. My girlfriend next door to me had a baby at 15 years old. My other girlfriend at 16 was on crack. At 16 years old, I graduated from high school and went on to study classical music in Europe. You know, what was the difference between me and them? I believed something different. I was a horrible musician. I was a horrible flutist. It was horrible. I mean, comparative to a lot of the people that were playing, they were awesome. Their breathing was awesome. And then I finally realized it's because I'm not a classical artist. I'm an artist. I just feel and play and feel and play. So then I got into my own design of artistry, and I became a performance artist. So I could be on one set and have a reggae song, a rock song, hip-hop song. I could do it all because it was just a point of communication and expression, tell a story. And many of us never have that opportunity to tell that story until now.
Yeah.
This is the time where you can actually go over to Les Brown's site right now and get this information. But I want you to hit me up on my Facebook page and tell me what you are doing differently with this content that you are hearing. What's going to be different today? Because you might be investing money, but you're investing time, energy, experience. It's an investment on both of your behalves. And I've told clients to keep their money before.
Fortunately, they don't have to spend anything, but I believe the reason that I'm here with you right now, last year this time, cancer had metastasized in my body. My PSA was over 1,800. Cancer had metastasized to 8 different areas of my body. And now my PSA is 0.0. I said before you because of God's grace and mercy. I don't believe that God saved my life just to help those who have get more. I believe that I was spared. He said, the least that you do unto these, my brethren, you do it also unto me. And I said, as I was going through my treatment, I said, when I get through this, I'm going to train others how to make money with their story. Because when you can make money with your story, you can make a difference in people's lives.
And it's yours. That's your unique value proposition. You know, it's a similar experience that I had while I was watching my mother die. And it was about 37 days. And I kept thinking to myself, gosh, I'm an empowerment speaker. I'm a motivational speaker. I can't get my mother up. I can't help my mother. And I'm sitting here watching her. And she had a stroke and she can only see, move one eye. And I looked at her and said, Mama, I can't help you. I quit. What would I do? How could I do this without you? And she looked at me the same way. She squinted that one little eye she could move, like as if she was about to tear my behind up.
Yes.
And I knew what that meant. And I said, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this to win.
Yes.
And this is for the hearts and the minds of the people, because that's what is already captured. They're under hypnosis right now. Somebody else's agenda. When we look at television, it's somebody else's vision being told.
Yes.
Now we have the opportunity to tell their vision.
Yes.
And I'm excited about that. And we said we're going to do some things this year together, too.
We are. I'd like for us to get together, combine my motivational and empowerment strategies with your coaching, because I believe that as we look into the future, 16 most revolutionary words in the Bible is, be ye not conformed to this world, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Absolutely.
That's key. Dr. Carter G. Woodson, who wrote The Miseducation of the Negro, he said, if you can determine what a man shall think, you never have to concern yourself with what he will do. He said, if you can make a man feel justly an outcast, never have to order him to go to the back door. He'll go without being told. And if there's no door, his very nature will demand one. So I believe that our mission at this stage of my life is to eradicate the mind virus that's affecting our people, HIV, hood-infected virus. AIDS,
I like that.
addiction to incarceration, and death syndrome. That when we do that, we can begin to write a new chapter for our people.
Absolutely. And I love the fact that you actually call it the virus, because I call it the virus also, right? That we have to actually reboot.
Yes.
We need the opportunity to reboot. So even in identifying brand, identifying story, there's a story that is true, there's a story that's not true. And we have to be able to get real with ourselves and say it's all okay. And once we can reconcile that, then the power and the energy that comes from that story, that place, will save and heal and love and include millions of people, because they'll see you and say, me too. And that's the point.
Yes, that's what we want to create, the Me Too syndrome.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and we're here with Les Brown. I know that you're glued to the screen. You can't tell me you're not. But, you know, not everyone will. Isn't that what you tell me?
That's right.
So here's
Whosoever will, let him come. Work with the willing.
Work with the willing. Well, I'm going to say to the unwilling, ask yourself the question, how much has it cost you to be where you are, and how much will it cost you to stay there over the next year? We'll be right back on Tina Speaks.
Hey, are you tired of those same old energy drinks with bad taste? Make a switch to Pitbull Energy Drink with a guaranteed no aftertaste. Pitbull offers more energy with ginseng and vitamins B6 and B12. With a ginger ale lemon lime flavor, Pitbull meets the consumer's demand for better tasting and healthier energy products with a guaranteed no aftertaste. Make a switch to Pitbull Energy Drink. Pitbull offers more energy with ginseng and vitamins B6 and B12. With a ginger ale lemon lime flavor, Pitbull meets the consumer's demand for better tasting and healthier energy products. For more information on Pitbull energy drinks, bars, and mixes, visit their website at hiphopbev.com. That's hiphopbev.com. Online orders available at hiphopbev.com.
Okay, we're back. We're back with the wonderful Mr. Les Brown, and we're having this great conversation that I was hoping to have. I wanted to get all in your business.
Thank you.
And I'm glad I could.
Yes.
I'm glad I could. Some of the compelling reasons why people need to have this going on in their lives, they need to have this conversation, they need not avoid it, the what's in me that can be free to free me, right? What can be freed to free me.
Yeah, there's an African proverb that says if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm.
That's right. So they need to have this conversation. And when we left before, I was asking the audience, which is a coaching question, what has it cost you?
Yes.
Well, it doesn't work for me. What has that thought cost you? Well, you know, all men are ... What has that cost you? All women, what has that cost you? Is there a ROI on that? Can you determine the return on investment? See, what I believe that my cash is not actual dollar bills. My cash are my words. There's an exchange that's happening every day because I'm putting certain words out there. I'm shaping certain visuals, and I'm expecting them to return to me because I know that God's word does not return to him void. Right?
Thou shalt decree a thing and it shall be established unto you.
And here's the coolest thing. I don't have to make it happen, right? He said the Holy Spirit hovers above the earth, seeking for his word to perform it. So there's a dynamic there. So whether or not you actually believe that the Bible is real, there's a quantum dynamic to sending something out there with the fact that sound travels forever, light travels forever, and making sure that the particles can align a certain way so the universe can return to you what it was designed to do. There's a dynamic with that.
Yes.
And then you have people who don't notice it. Well, it's not going to change. I'm just keeping it real. Well, how about shifting reality? How about shifting the bar in reality? How about making a decision to do that right now? And it sounds lofty. And when I speak to certain people, and I know, you know, it hurts me when I see people hurt because crisis and consciousness are polar.
Yes.
When you're in crisis, it's hard to make conscious decisions. It's hard to, what am I eating? What am I loving? What am I saying? What am I doing? I'm in crisis. Who cares? Let me get past it. So then we're going to work with get rid of the pain, get rid of the pain, get rid of the pain. So we have the opportunity to jump into that crisis, reshape the perspective on the crisis, align the facts and make it work for them.
Crisis in the Chinese language, as you know, means danger, but it also means opportunity.
It's opportunity.
Yes.
It's absolute opportunity. So we have only 10 more minutes left, which is really annoying me. I don't like the clock right now. Our show, I always tell people this is the fastest hour in TV and radio. I'm convinced. It only lasts 10 minutes. What are some of the things that you can tell our listeners and viewers to do right now that's going to change the game?
Number one, Dr. Howard Thurman said something that I wish I had paid attention to this when I was in school. He said, there are two primary questions that one must ask oneself in life. Number one, where am I going? Number two, who's going with me? And if you ever ask those questions in the wrong order, you'll be in serious trouble. Early on in my life, I was looking at who was going with me as opposed to where I was going. Because once you know where you are going, that gives you a strong sense of self. Once your life has a strong sense of self, that gives your life a sense of purpose. And once your life has a sense of purpose, that will give your life a sense of direction. That's what's required for people right now. You have to have mental resiliency. You've got to know exactly what it is that you want, and you've got to start moving in that direction with a sense of urgency and develop collaborative, achievement-driven, supportive relationships. Most of our relationships are entertainment driven, socially driven, but not collaborative, achievement driven, supportive relationships. When we do that, we can literally begin to change the course of our history.
You know, and I know that from my own little personal life is that when I started to make decisions around what I wanted in my space. You know, I was a young mom. I just got married, and then I noticed that I was hanging out with certain people because we went to the same church. I was hanging out with certain people because we're all moms. I was hanging out with certain people because we're all black. And I said, that's not enough information for me about these people, or it's not good enough based on the outcomes. You know, if I have to find myself, because I have this problem with this filter thing on my face, you know, appropriate emotion, appropriate facial expression. I can't even fake it. Lisa will tell you that. So I'll sit there and I'm like, fake face, fake, and then I'm sleepy. I'm going to bed. I'm tired. I'm done. You know, it's like I've had enough.
Yes.
You know, so I would find myself in these circles, and I'm like, what are the outcomes here? Let me sort of average the outcomes based on these women. Nag, 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 complain, complain, complain. I do not want to be that. So I started to shift some things and decided it's okay for me to be alone as long as I can choose.
Yeah. It's better to be alone than to be in bad company.
Oh, well. Can you say that one again?
It's better to be alone than to be in bad company.
People need to make that decision. I didn't say it again because I want you to hear it again. I want you to sort of feel that. Because some of us have let other people define success for us. And that is a self-defined word. My mother could not determine success for me. Society cannot determine success for me. My story actually... the clues that I need to walk out success are actually in my personal story. If I allow myself to be with it, not be afraid of it, and to develop it so that it's something that is going to make room for me and put me in the company of kings, right? I'm going to get into that story, and I'm going to look at my own personal strategies and see what is success for me. Because I cannot sustain something that is not mine.
Right.
And that's been our mistake, I believe, as people, not so much just as, you know, black people, women. I consider it, you know, a race of humans. There's one race, the race of humans. And we all have our situations that we have gone through. In particular, I was raised by divine distinction as a black woman. So there's certain experiences that I have that if you're not a black woman, you may be able to share it. It doesn't make it something that I have to go, oh, I'm sorry, I'm Baptist. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm black. This is what I can share because of the 300 years of resilient DNA that's in my system of surviving. And here's what I can share over here because of the beautiful Cuban blood that's in my body. And these things make me up, and I'm proud of it, and I love it. There's nothing wrong with it because otherwise God wouldn't have taken his time to make it. And that's where we have to be. That's where you start. Then you can start building the story. This is what happened, and here's the cast in my movie. I used to tell people, if you don't like, you know, my music video, then, you know, don't try to dance my dance steps. Or if you want to be in my music video, you better learn my dance steps. I used to tell them that, you know, when I was a little I thought I was something, when you're a teenager, you think you know
Yes.
everything, the sum total of all knowledge. Now I look at it as we're all in the same video. It's the same stage. We're all casted in this thing called life. We must choose.
Yes.
So when you're working with people in these last 2 minutes, what is the thing that you come across the most when it comes to telling that story? Do they get afraid? Are
That
they
most
resisting
people
it?
feel just like I felt for 14 years. What do I have to say that would have any value for people? That kept me back.
It's hard to
Not
even believe
thinking
that you could say
that I had value in my story. And what the most important thing that I realized, the easiest thing I do is to speak. The most difficult thing that I've ever done, and it took me years to do, was to believe that I could speak.
Mm.
And so I work with the messenger, then the message, then the money.
I love it.
Yeah, the messenger, the message,
And then
the money. That's right.
I love it. So this hour's over. I'm sort of sad about
Me
it
too, yes.
because I know you're getting on the plane and
Yes,
you're
yes,
going
going
to the
teach
next
people
thing.
how to make money with their story.
That's right.
And
So
they
we're
can go to that website, makemoneywithyourstory.com. And
Okay.
we'll give them a free video. Yes. And also my Facebook is brown.less. We have over 70,000 people. We're building a community of collaborative, achievement-driven, supportive relationships of greatness.
This is a wonderful thing, and it's been a wonderful time with you. I know it will not be the last time. I'm actually going to put in a little request that you and I can do at least one show a month together. Can we do that?
That would be great. That would be a lot of fun.
I would love that.
I look forward to that.
And
Yes,
then
indeed.
do some live seminars and just go ahead and keep changing the world. We just get
Yes,
to do it
indeed.
together in community.
I told a group the other night that I spoke to, I said, if you want to find out if I'm dead, come to the funeral home and drop a microphone in the casket. If I don't get up and say, you got to be hungry, they say, he's gone now.
He's gone now.
He's gone.
Let's go.
He's gone now. Let's go.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Les
Thank
Brown,
you. I
for being here with
appreciate
me.
you.
And I
Yes,
love you to
thank you.
pieces.
Yes.
Mwah.
Yes.
And you guys got to sort of peek into this conversation. I'm very satisfied with my outcomes, that I get to sort of dig in a little more than our radio show. Only on Tina Speaks. I want you to go over to his website, get the information, get involved with your life, and then write down two or three things that you can do today to change your game. Remember, the question is, who do I need to be today to do it?
I want to thank you for who you are. You are the message that you bring, and you bring a lot of light where there's darkness. So we honor you and celebrate your greatness.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we're going to have you back again. We have to. We actually have to. You're the reason why I'm on television.
All right.
You're the one, you told me to be on TV, right?
You can do it.
Yeah,
And
we're
you're
doing
doing
it.
it.
We're getting it done.
Yes.
So thank you very much, Les Brown.
Thank
you very much for being with us today. We love you. Until next time, God bless you.